Thank you very much, Joe. And we're going to go right to the next question. Marcus, your second question.
Yes, many new Canadians have started small businesses in Toronto. Is there something special the city can do to assist them?
George?
Well, I think that it's a little bit similar to the question that you asked before. I think that the city needs to put itself in a position that it can offer information and support to allow, especially people on a path towards creating a small business, the easiest way forward. So modifying customer service models, recreating, as an example, in the lobby of City Hall, as we used to have that small business center and some of the concepts around business incubation. I think these are things that can be helpful. We want to be able to combine the entrepreneurial spirit with all of the best information possible. I think one of those things that the city has an obligation to do, and the 311 service would be an example of that, is find a way to deliver its services in more and more languages. We know that there are extraordinary entrepreneurs in the Tamil community and all of the and in so many other communities, and sometimes the city is a barrier, and sometimes languages in terms of accessing information are a barrier. I think the way the city organizes itself can be very helpful.
Thank you, George. Marco?
There's no question that the service level, again, back to this one-stop shopping, is critical. I think, though, that the city can also play a convener role to bring some of the ethnocultural business councils that have sprouted up more into the mainstream, working with the Board of Trade and other groups as well, because groups like the Tamil Canadian Business Council, Chamber of Commerce, are phenomenal, and they've grown in the last 5-6 years from a yellow pages that they produced that was, maybe 60 pages to a 3-4 inch thick document. So that's incredible. Many of those businesses are actually sprouting up in what are so-called priority neighborhoods. And I think there's an opportunity for the city to be more generous, quite frankly, in the use of tax increment financing to spur activity, because those are areas where we need more economic dynamism to begin with. And these groups are the ones that are actually leading the way in those areas and deserve a bit of support to do that, because it serves a double bottom line.
Thank you very much, Rocco. Rob?
We have to inform new business owners about service clubs. The networking is so crucial. The Lions Club, or Kiwanis Club, or Rotary. It helped out myself, helped out our business, it helps out so many other businesses around. And networking at Etobicoke Chamber of Commerce, it was phenomenal. You go to these meetings and there's 100 people in a room, and you help each other out, and we have to inform people about these clubs, because a lot of small business owners, especially new business owners, aren't aware of these clubs. So as a mayor, I'm going to make sure all these businesses are aware of these clubs that are available. Thank you.
I want to establish a diversity network. One thing that amazes me about this city is that 50% of us were not born in this country. I'm always astounded to meet people whose best friend now is running some huge corporation in India or somewhere else, whose uncle or relative is the president of a country or minister. But you know what? Only those people from the small community know it. The rest of us do not know about it. It should be possible to connect the rest of us with that in a win-win situation. So what I've said on January 13, when I declared my candidacy, actually, that I would do 2 countries per continent. And this, by the way, the mayor's got to make it happen, but it'll have to be operated outside of City Hall in order to give it the flexibility in order to do a job. So we'll have a complete inventory of 2 countries per continent in the next 4 years, where you know a who's who, and they will be able to connect each other. Imagine the wealth possibility, enrichment possibility, helping ourselves and people in the mother country, because we pay lip service to diversity, but we really have not that deep into it.
Well, thank you, Joe. Now, Sarah, and then George, you said you liked a rebuttal?
Okay, well, again, it gets back to reducing the government obstacles that are in place. So I want to reduce business taxes, especially in our high priority neighborhoods. We need to get more businesses there. I've also suggested mixed use zoning, so mixed use, mixed income kind of zoning, so people can start a business and live where they work. I'd like to create a buffer zone around some commercial areas, like on Bloor Street, so we have a mixed use, sort of quiet mixed use, in between commercial areas and the residents. So we can create this buffer to really stop the war between residents and our restaurants, for example, and work on how do we make these areas better for the business owners and for the residents. So those are two areas I would look at. Let's reduce the government bureaucracy, the government laws that are there, and let's work towards making these areas work for all of us.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Now, George, you have a rebuttal, 30 seconds.
Well, to Joe Pantalone, he said that he wants to create a diversity council, but I think one of the things, okay, well, I think that one of the things that you ought to have done in all the time that you've had there is enforce the very city policy that the city council brought forward in 2003, which with respect to procurement suggested that the city would be more effective at making sure that its procurement supported diverse businesses and including Aboriginal communities as an example. There's been no consistent tracking or reporting on that. It stands as an example of a good policy brought forward, but without any attention subsequently, and I think that that deserves effort.
Thank you, George. And now Joe, and then we'll go to the next question unless someone else has.
Yes, well, I'm kind of concerned to hear this from the former Deputy Premier of Ontario, the most powerful politician of Toronto, Queen's Park, who has basically left the city of Toronto as a beggar, if you will, by downloading $256 million for transit, $75 million of court services, and $200 million of Ontario housing. Put us in a handicap where really we are not able to do all the work we can do. I think you should be ashamed of yourself, George. You should be ashamed of yourself for putting the city of Toronto. You were unable to do it or unwilling to do it as the most powerful politician of Toronto.
Thank you very much.
And what makes you think that you're the city of Toronto?